Hi everybody, I'm Megan. I'm a former Flagship student and I just returned from my Capstone year in China. So unfortunately I can't come in person and talk to you guys about it because I'm going to start grad school too soon. But instead I'm making this video so I can tell you a little bit about my experience and some scholarship information. So first I'll tell you about the scholarships I received. I received 3 scholarships. One was the Boren Scholarship, second was the UO Presidential Flagship Scholarship, and third was the Freeman Foundation Scholarship. So the first scholarship I received is the Boren Scholarship. So if you receive the Boren Scholarship, you get a lot of funding, but you also get a chance to work for the federal government as a service requirement for the scholarship. And so since I've returned from my Capstone year, I will eventually have to look for a job with the Department of State, the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, or CI. So CIA, NSA, FBI. And it's really awesome because you're a Boren Scholar, they will put your application as a priority, and so you get looked at before other applicants, as well as just a lot of Mandarin speaking job opportunities. The second scholarship I received was the UO Presidential Flagship Scholarship, which is just through the Flagship office, so you can ask your Flagship advisors about that one. And the third one I received was the Freeman Foundation Scholarship, which is for anyone who will be interning in the Asia region. They will give you your if you receive that scholarship, they will give it to you during your internship phase, which is really helpful. So if I have any tips for funding your abroad experiences in China, whether it's a summer program or your Capstone year, I would highly recommend you go into the Study Abroad office in Oregon Hall and talk to the scholarship advisor. So they have a list of all the scholarships you can apply for, and so I went through the list and figured out which ones I was eligible for and applied to them, and I got 3 really good ones. So that's a great thing to do before preparing for your study abroad. So the Capstone year is divided into 2 portions. The first part is 1 semester in Nanjing, and the second part is your internship, which it could be in any city depending on where your internship is. So when you arrive to Nanjing, the Flagship Center will help you find housing, they will help you set up a bank account, they will help you figure out Wi-Fi and get a cell phone, and you do all this independently with the guidance of Flagship Center. So it's really cool, you get to learn how to do a lot of life tasks in Chinese and in China. Nanjing is a really cool city, it's really urban and very modern, lots of Western amenities, so if you're worried about not finding pizza, you'll be able to find pizza, burgers, Mexican food, it has it all. There's also a very big population of foreign exchange students, so it's kind of cool. You get to meet a lot of people from Europe and like a lot of different people from African countries who come to study Chinese. So overall, living in Nanjing is a really cool experience, and it's a really great look into what it's like to live in a big Chinese urban setting. As for the classes, Flagship has lots of Chinese classes focused on just the Flagship students, and then we also are expected to participate in Nanjing University classes. So for Flagship classes, we are with only Flagship students and we're near the Flagship Center. Some classes include writing, where we learn how to write creative essays, persuasive and argumentative essays. We write our resume in Chinese, we practice interview skills and cover letter writing, and we write a thesis, so it's a really useful class for grammar and writing. And there's a media class where we learn about social media in China as well as current events, and so these classes are really awesome and they help you prepare just like living in China and being a professional in China. And for the Nanjing University classes, the 2 classes I took was World Economics and Consumer Studies, and they're really interesting because they're all in Chinese and they're in a lecture class with all local students, and so you're typically the only foreign student, and you just watch PowerPoints and listen to a lecture, same thing as you would do at U of O, but in China. And it's really cool to learn about a Chinese professor's perspective on things such as US-China economic relations and things like that. So it's a really awesome window into their mindsets and their kind of perspective on international relations. And so if I had any advice for living in Nanjing and participating in the Nanjing academic portion of the Capstone year, it would be to just have very good time management and expect to do a lot of work and be very focused, because there is a lot of work. It's an intensive language learning program. So you're learning at a very fast rate, but if you just stay focused and have a good positive attitude, you'll learn way more than you ever thought you could in China. And so the next part I'll talk about is the internship part. So I ended up doing my internship in Sanya, which is on Hainan Island, which is a tropical island off of the south of China. It's still part of China, and everyone speaks Mandarin there, but it's not very well known to foreigners. So I opted to work at a hotel. My career field is international development aid, and it's very hard to get an internship in China without a master's degree, and so working at a hotel was a perfect way to practice my listening, my reading, my speaking, and writing skills, everything all in one internship. And so I worked at a Crown Plaza resort by the beach in Sanya, and my main responsibilities included working at the front desk, working in the lobby. I managed the executive lounge. I worked in HR and guest services at times, and was in general a bit just a translator for the hotel because I was the only foreign worker. This was a really awesome experience, and I spoke to a lot of guests. I spoke to a lot of my coworkers, always in Chinese, and so it was just a constant Chinese environment. And my favorite part about the internship actually was meeting all my coworkers, because a lot of them were my age, and so we would hang out on the weekends, and I learned tons of modern slang from them, things that I wouldn't have learned in a classroom, and I got to know what their perspectives on a lot of things are as the millennial generation in China, and so it was a really awesome learning experience. And as for living in Sanya, it was really great that I had the knowledge to just move there. I knew where to find a realtor. I knew how to set myself up with my visa and my Wi-Fi. I knew how to do everything because I learned how to do it in Nanjing. If anyone is considering living in Sanya, I would highly recommend it because it is absolutely beautiful and the weather is beautiful year-round. I learned to surf. I was hanging out with the China National Surf Team members because they all live there. And I also did a lot of hiking. I believe that if you want to have a really fulfilling time in China, you should find your subculture. In the US, I love to hike, and when I moved to China, I was a little nervous that I wouldn't be able to do that because I didn't know where to go and I didn't know how to get there. When I got to Sanya, I actually met a hiking group, and I ended up going out to the mountains with them every weekend and met lots of friends, and we'd have dinner afterwards, and so that was a huge part of what made my internship portion one of the best experiences of my life. Whatever you do in the US, you should find a way to keep doing it in China. All right, well, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, I also worked in the study abroad office, so I may have some knowledge that may be useful to you. So I will put my email at the end of this video, and you can feel free to reach out for me if you have questions about scholarships or Capstone or Flagship in general. Thank you.